What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder. I'm Warren Thompson. Thanks for stopping by the channel today. Today we have something that I think not only Marvel fans, but just movie fans in general are going to find extremely interesting. Chris Hemsworth has recently done a really big interview with GQ magazine. I loved reading the article, and I definitely suggest everybody go check out the full thing on GQ's website because they really dive into the life and the career of Chris Hemsworth. It was truly a great read, but today, of course, we're going to be talking about what he has recently said about Marvel Studios. He's talked about his time as Thor. He also talks about the criticism that Thor: Love and Thunder got, and he also offers a bit of constructive criticism for Marvel moving forward as well, talking about how to avoid that Marvel fatigue and how to avoid all of these movies and projects kind of being the same thing. And I gotta say, I agree with what he is saying in this interview. I think it's very insightful, and I hope this is the way that Marvel Studios actually continues to push forward now and in the future. And he also talks about the criticism that Martin Scorsese has had for the MCU. So some deep stuff we're diving into today. And if you love Marvel, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you subscribe and leave a comment, you're also entered in our giveaway for a chance to win an Xbox Series X, a PS5, some Marvel Legends items, or some DC items. The winner gets to pick one item, and we pick a winner at the end of each month. So the first thing they really dive into with Marvel in this very long but awesome GQ article is actually that criticism by Martin Scorsese and what Chris Hemsworth thought of it. The article states, "Still, he bristles when I ask him about criticisms of Marvel by filmmakers such as Martin Scorsese and Quentin Tarantino, who recently queried whether Marvel actors are really movie stars." In a podcast interview last year, Quentin Tarantino said that the characters, not the actors, are the stars. And Chris Hemsworth said to this, "That's super depressing when I hear that. There goes two of my heroes I won't work with. I guess they're not a fan of me. I'm thankful that I have been a part of something that kept people in cinemas. Now, whether or not those films were to the detriment of other films, I don't know. I don't love when we start scrutinizing each other when there's so much fragility in the business and in the space of the arts as it is. I say that less to the directors who made those comments, who are all, by the way, still my heroes, and in a heartbeat, I would leap to work with any of them, but I say it more to the broader opinion around that topic. I don't think any of us have the answer, but we're trying." This was a very classy way to respond to this criticism, and if you have an opinion on this, let us know down below in the comments. Do you think the characters or the actors are the actual stars? I think both, because just imagine Robert Downey Jr. not playing Iron Man. Imagine Iron Man played by somebody else. Robert Downey Jr. did make the character, but the character is also amazing. The same thing goes with Chris Hemsworth and Thor and Chris Evans and Captain America. Yes, the characters are amazing, but the actors do such an incredible job and fit the part so well that they make the characters what they are. So I definitely think that the actors are the stars because they make the characters, and the characters are, of course, the stars as well. But now we jump into a little bit more of the criticism that he got for Thor: Love and Thunder, criticism about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and what he thinks Thor 5 should be like. The article continues to state everyone's a critic these days. Even Hemsworth's kids' friends were in on it with his most recent Marvel offering, Thor: Love and Thunder. They didn't hold back. Chris Hemsworth said, "It's a bunch of 8-year-olds critiquing my film. We thought this one had too much humor. The action was cool, but the VFX weren't as good," he recalls. "I cringe and laugh equally at it." And even Chris Hemsworth, looking back, says that he realizes where there were some problems and he offers his own critique. He states, "I think we just had too much fun. It just became too silly. It's always hard being in the center of it and having any real perspective. I love the process. It's always a ride, but you just don't know how people are going to respond." And I definitely agree that it was pretty silly. I actually kind of liked the humor, but as Chris Hemsworth is about to say in this interview, he does think that Thor 5 definitely needs to be different, and I do as well. When asked about doing more Thor movies, he stated, "I love the experience. I love the fact that I've been able to do something fairly different throughout the process. Thor 1 and 2 were their own thing. Thor 3 and 4 were a very different feel. And then even Avengers, the Lebowski Thor, the Infinity War Thor, due to different directors, and I think mostly my own need to do something different. You know, I got sick of the character pretty quick every couple of years. If I was going to do something again, it would have to be tonally different, and we'd have to do something very drastic to keep people on their toes. Otherwise, it's just the fatigue of those characters and those films where people are like, I've seen it. And I think that most people would agree here. I think Thor Ragnarok was so good because it was so fresh. It was a different take on Thor. And sure, Thor Love and Thunder might have been over the top. It might have had too many jokes, but it was pretty much the same Thor from Ragnarok, whereas Thor 1 and Thor 2 were the same Thor as well. So now going into Thor 5, I think we would need both that serious Thor and comedic Thor kind of meshed together. A combination of the first 2 Thor films and the second 2. And here's where Chris Hemsworth offers kind of some general Marvel criticism that I think he's very right about. I think this really makes sense. And they go on to talk about Black Panther Wakanda Forever, talking about how he saw it and he thought that it was really cool, but he hasn't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania yet. But he asked the interviewer, Hannah Rose Lee, what she thought of the movie, in which she said her opinion, which essentially was, why did they have to make it so big, talking about Ant-Man Quantumania, in which Chris Hemsworth said, that's the trick. You have to separate all those stories. The moment it's like, and then he pretended to do a trailer narrator voice stating, your world is in danger, the entire universe. And Chris Hemsworth goes, it's like, yeah, so it was the last 24 films. It has to become a bit more personal and grounded. And that is kind of true. A lot of the films have had that same premise. The world's in danger, the universe is in danger. And if you do too many like that, they do start to lose their personal touch. Now, don't get me wrong. I like the fact that everything is connected. And of course, the entire world and multiverse is going to be in danger due to Kang. But I think there does need to be a bit more of a personal touch per project to make things really seem like they're their own thing. That was so great about Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3 of the MCU. We got our individual projects that were their own thing. Iron Man films were Iron Man films. Yes, they connected to the overall story arc of the Avengers, but they came together for that arc specifically in the Avengers films. In the Iron Man films, the ending of the universe wasn't really the problem. They had the individual villains to deal with. Same thing with the Captain America movies. Even Civil War wasn't about the universe or the world being threatened. It was a fight between our heroes and kind of Baron Zemo. Yes, they connected to the overall story of the MCU, which was, yeah, hey, the world and the universe is in danger, but they still had that personal touch, which I do believe was a very great thing and should continue on in the MCU. But let us know your thoughts about that. What do you think in the comments down below? Now, as far as Thor 5 is concerned, his final words on that are that he is open to it. The article continues and says, he is always open to returning as Thor, seeing what they have to offer creatively, if there's something new for the character. But then he says, and I quote, but I really want to do some other stuff for a while, end quote. So he's open to Thor, but he wants to do some other stuff first. This means he probably has a few years until he makes his return in Secret Wars, or perhaps the Kang Dynasty. We'll have to see which one. Of course, he can't really talk about that. He can't give anything away. So it's not like he can say, actually, yeah, I am returning as Thor pretty soon. You'll see me in the next Avengers movie. He can't really say that. And he was most likely specifically talking about a solo Thor film, Thor 5, when he said that. He probably wasn't talking about the next Avengers team-up films. Those, of course, are a little bit different. But let me know what you think about what he said in this article. Do you agree with his criticism? And what do you think Thor 5 should be like? Also, do be sure to check out the full article. It's a really great insight on the life of Chris Hemsworth and just a good read. Don't forget to like the video and of course subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. You can always follow us on Instagram and Twitter as well. And don't forget to check out our Patreon, our website, and our Discord server. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.